right, so it's been a while, everyone. Sorry about that. Let's go straight into it, and I'll throw my thanks in at the end of this video for everyone who checked on me. But you want to go buy your first new motorcycle. For a lot of people, a new motorcycle is your first new vehicle ever, right? So you never bought a new car, you might have bought a used car, but something to know, cars, bikes, the way that the dealerships make their money, the way that the actual margins and the way everything is built in, very different, okay? Bike dealership is not making their money off of throughput in the same way that a car dealership does. There's no incentives to move 1,000 bikes, right? They get a bigger discount based on the amount of bikes they buy. There's of course always throughput advantages, but it's not the same. It's not quite the same. So, another thing, power sports / motorcycle dealers also kind of suck, all right? This is not true for all of them, but this is true for the majority of them. And something to just preface with, don't buy from a dealership that is the closest to you. You're going to see zero advantages of buying a bike from a dealership that's close to you. Doesn't matter. The guys in service do not care that you bought that bike from them. There's zero difference. So if you have to drive 100 miles to save $2,000, drive 100 miles to save $2,000. Okay. Now, what's going to happen? What happens with people that go buy a new motorcycle, and what do you see most commonly online? And online, what you see is, I saw the advertised price of $5,500 for an R3, and when I got out the door, the price was $8,300. What happened? Am I getting robbed? Is the dealership screwing me? Yes and yes. But why is it going up so much? What are these fees? What are the hidden fees? What's going to show up on that out the door tag? And which is real, which is bullshit, and what to look out for when you are going to buy your first new bike, potentially your first new vehicle ever, okay? So, number one, this one is almost always legitimate, and this is going to be the freight / destination / landed / shipping / whatever charge, okay? These are legitimate. This is a legitimate charge from effectively every manufacturer. Now, something to know, okay? The way that this works is Suzuki, for example. If they, on their website, they have price $15,000 plus $600 destination charge, what that means is that they charge the dealership $650 to get that bike to them. So that is an incurred cost from the dealership to get it there. It is spelled out nice and cleanly so that you, as the buyer, know that that is the max that you should ever pay. Okay? So every single bike that you buy from the dealership that has a destination charge, BMW does not have destination charges. Every bike that has a destination charge will be cleanly lined out on the website what they charge that dealership to get it there. This is step number one of not getting robbed. Small bikes, new bikes, your first bike, the bike that they're most likely to sell to the 18 to 22-year-old, is going to be the lowest margin motorcycle on that floor. What do? They are going to try and screw you every possible direction to crank up that margin. It's also the most ignorant buyer, okay? It is what it is. So they are going to do everything they can to screw you in that scenario. So, if you are buying a Suzuki, Honda, Ducati, Yamaha, Kawasaki, I'm drawing a blank, whatever. Go on the website and look at what that destination charge is. It will be on the website. That is what the dealership is paying to get it to their store. That is always going to be passed back to you because that is a cost that they incurred getting it there. Okay. Number two, this is a legitimate charge, and this is going to be the setup / stage / whatever they want to call it on the line item to get the bike out of the box and ready. What does this actually mean? What is this charge? This charge is because a bike shows up, there's no battery installed depending on the type of bike. They actually show up in some surprisingly spotty pieces. this is going to be someone, so if you're looking at your bike and you're going to buy a new bike, you're going to see little paint marks. Most of the time they're white. Some dealerships will use like a darker color so it doesn't show as much, but you're going to see little paint marks on every little screw on the bike. That means that they checked the bike. That's what that fee is for. This is going to range in the ballpark of $200 to $600. 600 is on the high end, but it exists, and this is the labor cost to get the bike set up. Okay, now of course they're going to bake margin into it. This isn't, you know, they're not charging the exact hourly rate they anticipate this to cost. These new gloves, by the way, so my hand is cramping. I got a lot of warming up to do with these. But they're baking margin into it, but that is a legitimate cost that is incurred by the dealership upon receipt of every single motorcycle. Okay, if you see that on your charges, it is legitimate. If you see anything as a newer bike, as a smaller bike, as a Japanese bike especially, if you see anything over, I would really say $300, but call it $400 just because, I mean, what we're splitting hairs on totality of a $6,000 to $10,000 purchase by $100, but call it $300. Just have a little red flag that pops up and tells you this dealership may not be as competitive as one down the road. It may not be as competitive as the one 50 miles away. Okay, it's a legitimate charge. You're not going to get around this. It exists. Some dealerships, I would say that this, from my experience, is much more common with the doggies. This is much more common with the European dealerships. They will typically, they will bake this in better to the price. They'll kind of blend it in a more obscure way, which is neither here nor there. They typically won't have just a flat setup charge. Ducati typically will, and it'll be exponentially higher, but they also have legitimately more to set up. And to know too, the setup is worth something. I've bought a motorcycle that one of the headlights, I don't know how this is possible. I won't tell you what bike it was, but it rhymed with BMW. One of the headlights was put in upside down, so it got water in. Brand new bike. That failed the first pass inspection / unboxing. Blows my mind still that ever happened, or that a light could be put in upside down. It was insane. So that's a legitimate charge. Now, this is where they're going to start really screwing you, especially right now, as of August 2026. Anything that's sold post 2025, this is where these dealerships are really starting to lie, screw, just, you cannot trust a lot of these. If you see any sort of surcharge on your purchase that mentions something about a tariff, that mentions something about a supply chain, that mentions something about a duties charge, anything of the sort, that is an arbitrary 100% margin to the dealership charge. These are not real. The only company who has passed on a true, actual supply chain / tariff charge is Kawasaki. They did it in 2025 across all models. They had to get rid of it. There is also rumors of a Kawasaki plant having some lines go down due to some actual legitimate supply chain constraints, due to some steel and da-da-da-da-da. So it probably wasn't even tariffs. Okay, it just, they saw it as a very good time to coincidentally kind of throw it in and hope no one would balk at it, but they did. So, all this to say, if you are going to buy any motorcycle and they break out a line item charge, then there is one caveat here. I do believe that the KLXs, there is some specific motorcycle that Kawasaki, I believe, still has that supply chain charge on. It's like whatever it is. That's actually being passed by the manufacturer to the dealership. It's legitimate. But anything else, that is the dealership making that up. Okay, that is not a good faith line item. That is not a legitimate. That is not the manufacturer. That is not Ducati going to your dealership and saying, hey, fuck you, you have to pay us an extra $1,000 because we ate more on the tariffs. No, what they've all done and what they're doing is that they are trying their best to eat it. Okay, now going back, let's go this way. Going back to the smaller bikes have the lowest margin on them. And smaller bikes have the most ignorant buyers. Again, that's not a negative. That's not me insulting anything. That is just a legitimate reality. So what that means is that they are going to try and tack these types of things onto these smaller bikes. Call this the beginner bikes, the mid CCs, the bikes that people are the most likely to buy as their first new motorcycle. You're going to see these kind of bullshit supply chain, tariff, duty, whatever charges tacked on, ranging from some arbitrary number of $400 to $2,000. That is pure profit to that dealership. If your dealership is telling you that the Ninja 500 that you're looking at has a $500 charge, leave. Go to the next dealership. Or ask them to take it off. Negotiate. Okay? Dealerships are not doing great right now. From what my half-ass, very poor insider knowledge / looking at the sales of motorcycles / just paying attention to the local inventory and how quickly things are turning, bikes are not doing great right now. Dealerships are not doing great. They are going to look for every opportunity to pinch every single penny out of the ignorant / new buyers. So you have to be very careful, because again, motorcycle dealerships are not incentivized to move inventory in the same way a car dealership will if you live in an area that is a high turn, high just throughput area for cars. It is not the same. They do not operate the same way. They do not have the same incentives. So they are going to try and squeeze every single cent that they can. Meaning, as well, if they buy a bike, it does not work the same where if you... This is actually very important to know. They do not work the same way that a car dealership does, where if you are days on the lot, this is something that you probably come across while trying to read into buying new vehicles / whatever, especially as a younger guy who does a little bit of research. This does not apply to motorcycles, okay? They are not being penalized by holding that bike. They bought it, right? It's there. They bought that motorcycle. It could sit there as long as they want it to, and they are not losing $1 by letting it sit. Okay? Make very important distinction there. Until those next year models roll around, they will let that bike sit and not give you a single cent discount. So it is not going to work in the same way where if you see a ZX6 in the whatever color you like or don't like, and it's there for 4 months, you're not going to go in 4 months later and still be 8 months away from the next year model rolling around and get a discount. Won't happen. Okay? So understand that, right? Understand that that's how a motorcycle works. Okay? So, going back. Next legitimate charge that you're going to see on a motorcycle. This is going to be the dock fee. Everything is different. Every state is different. In Georgia, it is typically the dock fee I have seen range anywhere from $50 up to $400. Okay? Dock fee is the exact same as setup fee if you're to consider how it looks under the business expenses. It is the labor put in to do all of the bullshit paperwork to get your bike legal, street legal, registered, titles transferred, lien holder applied, okay? Dock fees are all encompassing. If you're paying in cash, you should not be paying the same dock fee that someone who is financing is. I don't care what anyone tells you. They are allocating this cost with margin off of the labor incurred by their employees. If you're financing it, it is going to incur more. You have less of a fighting chance. If you're paying cash, you should not, be paying for that same dock fee as someone who's financing. The amount of paperwork, the amount of actual hands and hours being put into it is not the same. Now, you're not going to get anywhere making this argument to the sales guy at your local dealership. That guy doesn't know shit from shit, right? These are, and I've some of the dealers I absolutely love, some of the bike salesmen I absolutely love. Where I bought this bike from is my favorite dealership on the entire planet. But as a general rule, as someone who stops in motorcycle shops and will talk and bullshit numbers just because I Why not? Right? Most of them don't know shit from shit. I mean, they don't know the fucking... They don't know their left foot from their right foot. So if you're trying to argue this with them, you're going to go fucking nowhere. You're going to have to make it to the sales manager to try and explain this, if you want to really be a pain in the ass to someone that day. But that is a dock fee. A dock fee is legitimate. You're not going to get away from that. It's going to be as a line item charge. The dealership is incurring fees to put the paperwork together for you. And okay? What does all of this mean? Why do you so commonly see on motorcycles, especially online, on the newer forums / subreddits / whatever, some guy's going, he's looking at a Ninja 500, he's looking at a Ninja 650, they're looking at a Yamaha R3, they are looking at a, what's it called? Let's go with a Hornet, right? Let's go with the Hornet. Let's call it, and let's keep nice round numbers here for easy mental gauge of what's going on. Okay, Hornet, $8,000. Call it $8,000. You're gonna have, and I'm pulling these numbers straight out of my ass. I probably should have looked these up, but call it Hornet, $800. Destination charge, $600. Legitimate. Check. $8,600 now. Oh, I forgot one line item. Oh, stupid me. Taxes. Yeah, you're screwed there. You're not getting away from taxes. Unless you're trading in a vehicle in certain states, you're going to pay taxes. The percentage is going to be based on your state. Look it up. Georgia at 7%. The highest is 8.4% in Nevada. You're going to pay. So, to know. Okay? So, what happens here? Whoop. What happens here? You're going to go $8,000 for a Hornet. $600 destination charge, $200 dock fee. We're up to $8,800. Okay, taxes is applied to the actual cost of the motorcycle. It is not applied to the out the door. So call it 7% of 8,000. We're going to round it up to 10% because I don't know 7% of 8,000. We're going to call that another $800. Okay, it's probably closer to whatever, but call it $800. So 800, 8,800 plus 600, 9,400 plus 200, 9,600. Okay, we're tracking so far. $9,600 is going to be our out-the-door price ballpark on a Hornet right now. That's $1,600 over what you thought it was going to be. That is at a fair, good dealership. And again, we're highballing numbers. It shouldn't be that high. But, for example, that's going to be your number. Okay, if you're to pay at sticker MSRP, that's what you're going to pay. What's a bad dealer going to do to you? They're going to charge you $8,000 MSRP. They're going to hit you with a $900 destination charge. They're going to hit you, the taxes are the same. They're going to hit you with $800 in taxes. They're going to hit you with $900 in destination charge. So now we're up to $9,500 already. We're going to have a $400 dock fee. Where am I? Hold on. $800. Oh my God, this is hard to do math and think at the same time. All right, so you're at $900, $8,900 plus 800, $9,700. Holy shit! Hold on. All right, we had to back up here. Bad dealership. What are they going to do to you? You're going to go look at a Hornet. It's going to be $8,000 MSRP. Okay, they're going to hit you with a $900 destination charge. You're at $8,900. You're still getting hit with that $800 in taxes. You're now up to $9,700. Hopefully I did that math right. $9,700. Now you're going to get hit with a $400 dock fee. You're looking at $10,100. Now, because I'm a piece of shit, I'm also going to charge you, oopsie, supply chain issues. There's another $400 for you. You're at $10,500. You will see these all over the place online when people take a picture of their out-the-door price from a manufacturer. Hey, I thought this bike was $8,000, but they're trying to charge me $10,500. Hey, I thought this bike was $5,500. The out-the-door price came to $8,300. It's because they're a piece of shit scumfuck company, right? Go to the next dealership. Be willing to drive. Don't get screwed and settle because this dealership is a lying, worthless piece of shit. Go to the next one. Okay? Do it. Don't settle for what's closest to you when you're buying a vehicle in general, but when you're buying a motorcycle especially. I know that for a lot of people, the local dealership is someone that you want to support, and that's fine. If you consider the extra $500 worth it to make them happy, slash to stay friends with them, slash to establish the relationship, great. Personally, I don't. I don't respect a dealership that operates in that capacity, right? I really don't. I wish the worst for them, and especially the guys that are taking advantage of the new ones. Here's another observation I've made. I can't tell you that this is true everywhere, but something to be on the lookout for. If you're looking at a Japanese motorcycle, buy it from a dealership that sells primarily Japanese. Okay? If you're looking for a European motorcycle, so Aprilia, Ducati, BMW, Triumph, buy it from a dealership that sells only European. Okay? What happens, and this I've seen this across many dealerships, is typically your dealership will start with Japanese. It's the easiest to become a Japanese dealer. They're the simplest bikes, they're the highest turnover, they're the lowest margin, but it is the easiest type of motorcycle to start selling. Okay? Just if you start a shop tomorrow, you're not going to get a BMW license. You will probably get a Suzuki license. Okay? What happens? Japanese buyers are, call it, a little less inclined to argue the finances, to argue the line items, to argue bullshit. Okay? I'm a thoroughbred Japanese bike enthusiast. Okay? So this isn't to talk down on anyone. It's just, again, it's reality. Dealerships that are traditionally or only Japanese, and then they happen to luck up and get a Ducati, get an Aprilia, get a BMW license and start selling those, what they will do is they are going to feign on the ignorance that they're used to having on selling their Japanese bikes, and they're going to try and apply it to the BMWs. They're going to try and apply it to the Ducatis. They're going to try and apply it to the Aprilias. What happens when you do that? You're dealing with don't call it smarter, that's rude. You're dealing with a more in tune buyer. So you are going to, as a dealer, fuck it up and blow it up, and you are not going to do well. And you're going to see these bikes sit and sit and sit and sit, and you're going to wonder, man, maybe Ducatis are not as good as I thought. No one is ever buying this thing. This Panigale's been on the floor for 10 months. Yeah, maybe, wow, this dealership still has a 2024 Panigale that's brand new for sale on the floor. How weird. I wonder what they're doing wrong. I'll tell you what it is. They're trying to put in these bullshit, lying, fake charges into their sale, thinking that the average person going to buy a Ducati will fall for it the same way that they sell most of their newer, small CC bikes. It doesn't work that way. So they shoot themselves in the foot 50 times in a row. They lose every buyer that comes through the door, and then they sit, and then they eventually say, no one buys Moto Guzzi, no one buys Aprilia. No, you just suck. You suck as a dealer. This is where if you go to a strictly European dealership, you are going to get a much better detour. You are going to get a much better price. You're going to get a much more knowledgeable salesman. You're going to get a much more knowledgeable finance manager, in my opinion. That rings so true every single time. It's honestly somewhat comical. So anyway, that little extra caveat there. Now, we're going back. We're going to negotiate buying our new motorcycle, right? I took way too long talking about that. I'm passionate there. Make sure we don't get crushed. Or how are we going to go and tackle buying our first new motorcycle / first vehicle ever? What we're going to do is we're not going to go in and say, hey, Mr. Dealership, I'd like for you to work up numbers on this bike, and then when they give you a dock fee of $400, say, hey, this guy online told me that dock fee should be less because I'm paying cash. The guy that you're talking to doesn't give a shit, one, nor does he probably care. Well, one, he doesn't give a shit. Two, he doesn't care enough about his job / the industry / any of the back end to even try and conceptualize what you may be saying to them. And I mean that in the dickish way possible. I truly, in just the most spiteful, hatred, horrible way possible, this is reality. So that's going to land you nowhere. What you're going to do is you're going to come up with the price that you are willing to pay for that motorcycle, okay? You're going to look at the MSRP. You're going to look at the destination charge that is online for the manufacturer. That's not on BMWs. You're going to look at the destination charge. You're going to then bake in, come up with the number that you're comfortable with, dock, prep, okay? That's going to be just, it's not going to be too much, but a dock and prep fee. Bake them in. $400 to $800 there, whatever you're comfortable, whatever makes you mentally happy. Bake that into your out-the-door price, and then get your taxes, your state taxes for a new vehicle purchase. Remember, this is calculated off of the price of the sale of the bike. So if you are looking at an MSRP of $10,000, does not apply to the tax. It is only off of the sale price of the motorcycle itself. Okay? Okay. Don't forget that. Very important distinction there. You're going to come up with that number and you're going to go to the dealership. When you're at the dealership, you're going to say, hello, I would like to buy this bike. You can let them give you numbers first. You can just say, hey, I'll buy this right now. Here's my number. Let me know. Either way works. I will typically tell you to go with the second, just because when you come off a little too aggressive on the first, they may think you're just a window shopper who's going to lowball them, and these people have very small egos and don't like that, so you have to kind of play into it. Okay? Typically better to let them give you numbers first when it's $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 higher than what you were able to calculate based off of the legitimate sale price. You say, hey sir, I'm willing to pay this. Give me that number, I'll sign right now, and we're done. Okay? Don't try and argue the line items. Don't try and argue the specifics. Tell them the price that you're willing to sign for and call it a day. If they start trying to give you some roundabout bullshit, you can then bust out your line items. If it's someone who, this is more common in car dealerships, bike dealerships, it's truly, you're not going to see this very often. Car dealerships will sometimes respect arguing the line items and having a know-how / whatever. Bikes, it's not the same. Again, this guy doesn't know his left foot from his right foot. You're not going to get as far. Okay, so now it's your time. Walk, go to the next dealership, or walk and go to the next dealership. That's really what you should do. Don't give these guys free money because whatever. Okay, now I'm all for supporting your local dealership, but don't shoot yourself in the foot to try and make friends with someone who will never be your friend. Very important thing to understand now. All right, and that's it, right? This is very simple. I'm over explaining things and giving, hopefully some of the context of the nuances for you to better understand why what you're reading about cars is not applying to motorcycles and but this is really, none of this is going to be new information for someone who is bought multiple vehicles, who has been around for a while, older guys, whatever. This is more tailored for the guys that are younger, who have never bought a new vehicle, who have never dealt with people that are truly acting in bad faith against them and against their financials, and truly do not care about scamming you out of $2,000, $3,000. Okay, these dealerships, their job is to make money. Your job is to not let them get it over on the next guy, not you. That's it. Nothing here is groundbreaking. There's no cheats, there's no shortcuts, there's no anything of the sort, right? All of it comes down to due diligence and stubbornness / standing your ground. I hope this is useful and helps some of the guys, especially the younger guys who are going to buy their first new vehicle for the first time. Helps you understand exactly where to see what's legitimate, how to avoid being scammed. Don't let these people bully you, because there are dealerships that are bullies. Okay, I probably should have raised that at some point, but there are dealerships that are bullies. And when you are young, and if you look like someone who they can get one over on, they will get one over on you, and they will sleep perfectly that night. They don't give a fuck. These are not high moral, super awesome people at the average vehicle dealer, okay? I don't like I don't like dealerships, if you hadn't noticed, okay? So, as a whole, or excuse me, on average, right? The good ones, they stand out as amazing. The average ones, they're exactly what you expect them to be. So, protect yourself. Don't get robbed. Don't get bullied. Don't get pressured. Don't get lied to. Pay what you are able and calculating and comfortable paying. Don't get robbed. Don't give these guys more dollars than they've earned. That's my thing here. So hopefully this helps and is insightful to some of the younger guys. And as a quick thank you to everyone who's checked in over the past couple of months, I have been slammed with work and life. So really sorry I haven't been out making videos. Another thing too is when you don't make a video for a couple weeks, it becomes really fucking hard to get yourself up and think of an idea that will, you know, it's hard. But you fall out of the habit, it's actually really hard to go back and make something. Like, this video feels like ass. Most of them are, but so please give me some ideas. I need as many ideas as possible for videos, because I'm fresh out, right? Like, I'm so mentally fried, you dog. I'm so mentally just kind of fried with work and life at the moment that the ability to drum up ideas is just gone. Obliterated. It's not there anymore. So anything, opinion, whatever you want to, whatever, just give me some video ideas, please. Everyone again who's checked in, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. It's really cool that so many of y'all do it. Yeah, thank y'all.